Hey guys, what is up? This is Matthew Davis, me once again. Welcome back to another movie review. Continuing on with my horror movie review series, this time I'm going to be reviewing They Live. Now, this film is directed by John Carpenter, who, you know, directed such classic horror films like Halloween and The Thing. I remember watching this. I rented it from the library on DVD. Yeah, the libraries had DVD rentals. I'm not sure if they do anymore because there really isn't any point. But I never watched the movie all the way through. I slept through like half of the movie. I didn't remember that much. So this was the first time like I fully watched the entire thing. In this film, we follow a man named Nada, played by Roddy Piper, who is a lone wanderer without any meaning in his life, and he finds a pair of glasses that reveals subliminal messages throughout the city. Not only that, but people disguised as aliens. When he puts them on, he sees aliens or creatures from another world, and before he even gets the glasses, some odd things going on as people burst out like subliminal messages and stuff like obey and other stuff too, but mostly obey because the planet's being invaded. They don't know how invaders have landed on planet Earth, but oh well, we've got ourselves a blend of sci-fi, horror, and action. Mostly sci-fi and action. The horror is a little bit lacking. But hey, it's in the horror genre, so technically it counts for this series. I mean, the only real thing that this movie is going for in terms of its horror is its creepy things from another world. This movie combines a mixture of something like a strong, like, 80s action movie, combined with The Thing, just not as violent or gruesome. And I think John Carpenter has a really unique imagination, I mean, with how he manages to make such creative ideas into a film. And sure, The Thing is technically a remake of a movie called The Thing from Another World, but that movie was far superior and had a lot more going for it. I'm not saying The Thing from Another World's bad. In fact, I never actually watched the film. I'm sure it's a good film, but when people think of The Thing, they think of The Thing. And he combines that element with something like I'm not sure because, I guess I would say Lethal Weapon, because Nada meets another guy in this movie played by Keith David, who at first just seems like a regular working man, but later on he has much more of a purpose, and he sides with him after he sees the glasses too, only it takes him forever for Nada to convince him to put on the glasses, leading both of them to get into a fight, which South Park actually parodied in an episode. If you remember the episode Cripple Fight, where Jimmy and Timmy get into a fight after Timmy refuses to put on a hat that Jimmy tells him to wear. So yeah, that's something that I never noticed because I didn't make it to the part when I first watched this movie, but it was very entertaining to see. And the movie doesn't ever shy away from its characters either. Specifically Nada. I think Nada is a really well done character. Roddy Piper does a great job. Keith David, also as the secondary character, also does a great job. There's also a woman that Nada meets later on in the movie. She was also great in the movie too. And I think the movie is very well directed and very well shot. And the movie doesn't have that much of its effects. Like, in terms of it being a sci-fi movie, its only time that it uses its effects is when it's like when it comes to like when the guy's looking at the pictures and they switch the pictures out and the makeup effects for the creatures and they all look the same, but it looks very convincing and I thought it was very unique, and it doesn't happen throughout a lot of the film. I mean, it's not really a scary film. Like, while the movie does have horror in it, it's kind of lacking. But it makes for a great action sci-fi film, or a sci-fi action film, and it's a lot of fun. The movie's pacing really picks up after the first 3 minutes, because the first 3 minutes gives you like hints of what's going to happen later on. Like, it gives you like ideas of what the world is like before. I mean, you know what the movie is about just by looking at the poster. I mean, if you look at the poster, I mean, it's a guy who sees aliens through glasses, but it's a really unique concept, and I think John Carpenter handles it very, very well. In terms of issues that I do have with the movie, when it does start with the violence, like the gun violence, when some people are wounded, there's like little to no blood with some of the wounds. I mean, there is blood in like some of them, but a lot of the times, some of the wounds just some of the wounds aren't even there. They just shoot at enemies and then they just fall down. There's no like wound effects, not even a drop of blood. I mean, that doesn't happen throughout all the movie, or at least all the gunning down scenes. But it's an 80s film, and they probably didn't have that big of a budget. But then again, The Thing had a lot of blood. But hey, this isn't like The Thing. I mean, it kind of is. Just think of The Thing, except The Thing just looks like a regular alien creature thing and not like a grotesque monster. Also, the conclusion wasn't exactly what I was expecting. There's like a twist villain that just came out of absolutely nowhere, and it was kind of confusing too. And the way it closed, I didn't really hate it. It's just it wasn't as satisfying as I would have wanted it to be. But nonetheless, this is still a really fun film. It's a very unique one, and John Carpenter, when he puts this film together and the way he combines action and sci-fi elements with horror elements blended in, it makes it work very, very well. Its concept works, its set works, it has a very likable protagonist, and its score too also fits the movie very, very well. And it's not really haunting either, so it's definitely more into the action sci-fi genre than it is the horror genre. Though I will say it definitely does work as a horror film when it comes to like who exactly these creatures are and who exactly is human and who isn't. But it's very easy when they put the glasses on. But in the end, guys, as my first full viewing of this film, I really, really enjoyed it. It's not Carpenter's best film. I definitely think The Thing and Halloween are better films, but this is definitely one of his best. It's a very unique film, and it's a concept that works very well here. It's a combination of action, horror, and sci-fi blended in very well with a concept that's both very unique and very entertaining at the same time. It has likable characters, and it's all around a really fun time. Like, you can watch this anytime. It's definitely not really a film that I would consider watching for Halloween because it doesn't really have that much in terms of being a horror film to watch during Halloween, though. I guess if it were to be, it would just be for the look of the creatures. Like, the look of the creatures is the real horror here. So yeah, it's not necessarily scary, but it's more of a fun time. And it's a fun time that, well, it's a fun time, so there you go. It could have been a 4.5 out of 5 had the conclusion had been a little bit better, but probably that's just me. I still think this is a great film and definitely worth watching if you haven't seen any other Carpenter films besides Halloween and The Thing. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Ward out.